Live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri, he is the king of primetime, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love for the indefatigable KSM.
The KSM Show.
Yes. Excitement is what, man? This guest coming, I've been trying to chase him. The guy's a busy man, oh, I tell you. It'll not be easy. Well, he first came on the show before I even introduced him. For the first time, instead of introducing my guest, I'm going to show you a clip of him. The first time he came on the show, I think it was 5 years ago. I didn't even know he was such a brilliant singer. Take a look at this.
Each and every day, yeah, my own. The time I chase something, no money day, oh, my own. She be my own, but she thought I the grind for my cake, my own. Like the air I they breathe, I'm for everywhere I go, oh, my own. See the money, baby, come chop on for me, oh.
Yes, that's my guest. So you see him already. So I can't hide who he is. He's very, very, very versatile. I call him a living symbol of versatility. The man is a jack of all trades, and guess what? A master of them all. He's a seasoned broadcaster. He's a seasoned MC. He's a seasoned presenter. He does them all, and we'll be talking about it. But for now, put your hands together, folks. Show some love for my next guest, Johnnie Beresford Hughes. Hey. Good to see you, man.
Godfather.
Wow. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Please have a seat there.
Thank you.
Okay, the man is in the house, and we're going to get started. We're going to take a short commercial break. When I come back, Mr. Versatile is in the house. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe it's our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek. A most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
The KSM Show.
Wagwan, this be your boy, too stubborn for your liking, aka El Chairman, aka Top at Top. You dey watch King of Primetime, the KSM Show. Still numero uno, too stubborn for your liking. Whoa.
We're back. Mr. Johnnie Hughes.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I apologize. The work is enormous, but
I know.
We're trying.
So welcome
Thank
to
you,
the show.
thank you.
You know, that clip there was 5 years ago, man.
It was.
Yes.
It's funny how time flies, man. 5 years ago, that was when I'd freshly gotten married. Now I have 2 children.
Oh, you have 2 kids now.
And
show some love, man. Show some love.
And Osaberima.
And they are Osaberima.
Yes, Osaberima is the latest, and Obrimpong is the first. So Ivan and Ethan and with their lovely mother, Tuntum Bruni, Regina.
Tuntum Bruni,
Yeah.
Regina.
Yeah.
That's an English name?
Yeah, no, I call her Tuntum Bruni.
Why?
Her parents call her Regina.
You call her Tuntum Bruni?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because that's what I want to call her. I think she has colonized me in a very nice way.
In a very nice way.
Yes.
Show some love for Tuntum Bruni. Johnny, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
We have
thank
so
you.
much to catch up
Thank
on,
you.
man.
You have a beautiful place. I must confess. I mean, this is serene.
Yes.
It's,
Yes.
The food is good. The hospitality is top notch. Yes, and I mean, it's a confession. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but this is a very beautiful place. So,
Thank you.
give shout out to the Mua, man.
Thank you. Oh, well, I'm surprised, you know, because when you entered, I said, oh yeah, I get him to come and visit the place. Didn't know you've been here and scouted the location.
I've been here.
And
I came to eat on a Sunday afternoon with Bright and Amfo. And then we love the place, but it hasn't changed. It's improved actually.
Yeah,
you know, and the feel of the cactus itself is therapeutic, if you ask me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Show him some love, man. Before you guys think I paid no. So, you know, I want, when you was very relaxed, presenter, you did Rundown.
That's right.
I remember when you're doing Rundown, man, you did it so well. And I remember what you said when Yao Sechi left,
Right.
and you were asked to do the Rundown.
That's right.
I was interviewing you then, and something you said really, I can never forget.
Right.
You said you were thinking, hey, Yao Sechi, he has such big shoes. How am I going to fit such big shoes?
That's right.
So you decided, I'm not going to try and fit in his shoes.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my own shoes.
pair of shoes there.
I
I said that,
thought that was profound, man.
Yes, sir. I did. And kudos to Yao. Yao decided that he would give me a shot at it. This was after I'd had a stint with Pravda Radio, which is now Vision One, and then some gig with the Good Life game show as well. Yeah, I thought that I should. And at the time, I was also doing some stints with Plus FM. And he thought that, well, I'd been on the show as a pundit Wednesday on Wednesday, you know, sparring with James Kwesi Obeko, Kwame Rasta, and a couple of others. He thought that, well, I had what it takes to be on that set. So he said, well, come and fill my shoes because I'm moving on to higher heights. I call him the Duke of African basketball because he promotes basketball very well. So he gave me that, and I said, well, I can't disappoint, because if somebody has reposed a lot of confidence in you, then you have to do your best. So I looked at the shoes. I said, no, these ones, if I wear them, they will become sankpana. So I have to bring my own shoes.
My own.
Yes, I'll go bring my own boots.
And you did it marvelously,
Yeah,
man.
thank you
One
so
more
much.
time for him, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
But you've been in broadcasting space for a while.
That's right.
And I know you're also the host for New Day.
New Day was then.
Was then, okay.
But now it's Sunrise on 3FM
Sunrise,
92.7,
yes.
and then Community Connect, and then Johnny's Bite. But there's a story about New Day. You know, I joined Media General just around the time after about 2-3 years at TV Africa. So Max Fuga called me and says he wants me to host something on 3FM then. 3FM had not been launched. It didn't have a name. It only had a frequency. So you listen to the radio and say you're listening to 92.7. There was no branding, no launch, and said, well, come and work. And everybody thought I was crazy. Why are you leaving a station that has a name, has a brand? You're working with Concert to go. And I said, well, I like new challenges. Let me go and try it. So I went there. We started Community Connect. We did Election Zone. I did some other stuff on the show, helped to create some of the program on the show. And then, boom, an opportunity comes. There was the Exodus, Nanaba, Namoa, Benny Blanco, and the rest. They left. So New Day took a dip. If you looked at the track, as we call it.
Yeah.
And it came down to number 4 or 5. And then they called me into a meeting and said, well, go on and take on New Day. Your task is that you have to push it back to number 1.
Wow.
I said, okay, no problem. So in 6 months, we did that. In 6 months, I had opportunity to work with Bright Nananfo. I call him Senior Bright. And it was on the show that I christened him Senior Bright. I worked with a bit with Bridget Doto. I worked with Moon Sangmo. I worked with Natalie Ford. I worked with Wendy Lying. I worked with Etanam Say. I worked with Bella Mundi. I worked with Crystal Kwame Ayi. I worked with Cookie T. I worked with, who have I forgotten? Yeah, I think I worked with nearly everybody. So I was literally the constant on the show. People come and go. but I was the one on the show. Roland as well, Roland Walker. I was on the constant on the show. We came up to #1. One day I was there and they called me and said, well, there's a new task waiting on 3FM 92.7. We think that the morning show needs you, so
wow.
we are reassigning you there. And the rest, they say, has been history.
Wow.
The numbers have been proved. We're on the tracker now.
Yeah. What is your magic? I mean, you go there, your presence is felt, and it's felt in the numbers going up. So it's not just, oh,
that's right.
Oh, you're good.
You are just
you
there.
actually see the numbers
that's
going
right.
up.
That's right.
What's your trick?
Well, I think that it's the delight and the quest to do your best and sometimes overdo yourself. I always have the habit of going back to my programs. I go back to the recordings. I listen to them. Or go, what?
You do that?
Yeah. What did I do? What did I do right? What could I have done better? Okay, how could I have put this question? Okay, next time. And I love to read. I remember one of the episodes I had, Martin Amido had just written an epistle, a full thing. And then the government responds with a 44-paragraph, letter. And all this was happening late at night, after 10, 11. And you had to wake up the next morning, but you had to be on top of the issues to come in. So that's the kind of thing that we go through. A lot of people younger than myself who aspire to become like us and, like you, they assume that the work is just, come in, nice shirt, sit in front of the... It takes a lot of work. And for me, that's the magic. Number two, I think that a lot of the community interactions, I interact a lot with people. People beyond me, people, down there in terms of my age. I also try and form a lot of bond. As you said earlier, I'm a man of many talents. So my folks I used to play in a band with, or if you like, on Bands Alive on TV3 in 2008 and even before that. I still hobnob with them. And KSM, you'll be amazed. They have some of the most intriguing stories and leads that can take you to the most compelling, give you the most compelling content and stories you've never thought about. Those guys, they have it. So we have a relationship. You don't break the relationship. You keep the relationship. You keep interacting with them. You keep family and friends close. You're still close to your God. God is the center of what I do. And he directs me. He says, okay, so today I go this direction. Even though there's a running order, I have the topics. Say, okay, but when you pick it, tweak it this way, tweak it that way, and it works. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I mean, I can tell you on authority that social media numbers, for example, on 3FM Facebook was just a little around 90,000, 100,000. Now it's gone beyond 500,000. It's just jumping. On TikTok, and all this is just what do you call organic. We're not boosting nothing. We're not. It's just organic. If you go on TikTok and hashtag Johnny's Bite, the content is just Johnnie Hughes. The content it's everywhere. So that's it. That's about it. I don't think there's nothing more to add.
Well, when did this interest in broadcasting begin? When was the earliest times you can remember yourself thinking this is where you want to go?
I have always been a talkative. I'm the class prefect who, and I say hello to Mr. Richard Amamu, who taught me at St. Nicholas Preparatory School. He was a class prefect. So I was class prefect in class 1 through to class 6.
You were class prefect all the way through?
Yes, all the way through.
I remember you said that.
All the way through. And sometimes I'm assistant to either Daniel Inkum or Emmanuel Ano or somebody. But for some reason, I was always part of the top 2, part of the class prefects and part of the top 5 in terms of the test score. And each time I wrote the names of talkatives, he comes and says, have you added your name? Why must I add my name? I'm the class captain. He said, but I know you will talk. So that there. And then you go into upper school, and then you go into the university, and you're part of the SRC, you're part of student activism, you're pushing, for those kind of playing an egalitarian role, speaking up for people and all of that. I knew that there was some passion there. Then you join a debaters club, and you knew that something was there. But
I remember something that my dad used to do, bless his soul, JB Hughes Sr. He would take me to GBC at the time, and then, we'll go to the library, privileged opportunity, and you would get a chance to watch some of the, because then there were no playbacks, literally.
Yes.
So you would get a chance to go back, you go and watch playback. My dad used to make us watch Talking Point, used to buy newspapers, The Voice.
Really?
I knew The Voice. As a boy, I knew The Voice, I knew The Guide, I knew Chronicle, I knew PMP, I knew all of them.
Did you just know these because your dad was taking you, or you were actually interested and eager to see?
So I'm a talkative. I like to debate. I like to talk. I like to, have conversations. And then my dad heightened my interest by taking me to these libraries. You go and watch, you see how the interviews are being conducted. And then I fell in love with KKD. As far as 1997, 98.
What was it about him that?
I just loved the way he interviewed people. I mean, he had a way of making conversations so smooth and sweet, and it was effortless. So I said, okay, this one be nice. So because you see the other presenters, and some of them are very tensed.
Yeah.
As if it's a wrestling fight, and I said no. So I fell in love with him, and so my dad consistently helped me. Would go there, would have it, and I told KKD this myself. 10 years after that, I would meet him on Banter Live, and the rest is history. Introduced me again to broadcasting properly, and then gave me my first TV opportunity. Later, I found my own radio opportunity, and then the rest is history. But then again, back to where the desire came from. So you are talkative. You like to have conversations. Your dad takes you in there, but you also have a background. I grew up knowing big brothers who were into broadcasting. Pastor Ransford Abose was at Radio Gold. He was the host of Sunrise on Radio Gold. I mean, the whole country used to listen to him, and it was a delight. I used to listen to Kwame Sefakan. I used to listen to you on Radio Gold, and later Vibe FM. And you teach people how to write CVs and all of that. Yeah, so I used to listen to all of those ones. My dad would make us read the newspapers, and when we get to school and they gave us the textbooks, it was easy peasy. So Mr. Mamu always used to say, he recently was telling me that and Ivan has picked it up, or Brimpong has picked it up.
Really?
He can pick just anything and read at age. He started at age 3. He can read just anything. He just puts the words together, the syllables together, and he can read it. I think that's where the passion came from. And once I tasted it, I realized that it was worth the while. It was.
Even before we move on, talking about how even your kids have just grown into this, or are growing into this.
Right.
What's your advice for young parents?
I think that you should allow children to explore. My dad thought that I was a talkative. All through, my dad wanted me to become a medical doctor. So he would force me to, do the. At some point, he gave up. So when I decided I was ready for the university, I told him, okay, I want to go and read journalism. He said, are you sure? I said, well, so go ahead. So that was it. So it was either law or journalism, and then I chose journalism. But I think that for parents, you should allow your children to explore. This whole stereotypity of, oh, he must be a doctor, must be a lawyer, must be this, must be that. There are people who are naturally gifted, who are painters. Today, painters and sculptors are making a lot of money. Creative people. The world now is in the hands of creative people. I mean, whoever designed this for you, I'm sure you had the concept in your head, but somebody had to, actualize the concept for you. You're a creative person, and you're working with another creative person. Then the technical people will come and take over. And look at how beautiful this place is. Now, imagine if you were stuck in, okay, it has to be this, binary. Is that 1 or 0? Then we wouldn't have had Cactus Creek, and we can't be having this interview here, and the rest won't be history.
Well, I still want to stay on this just for a bit before we move on, because I have so much to talk to you about.
I hear you, sir.
Talk about bringing up kids, and I'm bringing this up because I find it so critical, so important.
Right.
We have come from a culture that children are supposed to be seen, not heard.
Right.
And when you're a child and you're articulating something intelligent,
Right.
And you have grown up, and you have flipped the script basically.
Right.
Thanks to your dad.
Right.
Yeah.
He gave. I mean, our dad my dad gave us the opportunity. My dad was a uniformed man. He had 2 stars, 1 crown here. He had a thick mustache. I mean, I just want you to imagine him well built, and the people who knew him, you know, you dare not misbehave around him where he is. Even when he was in Mufti, you dare not do that. But then, because he gave us the opportunity to watch programs like Talking Point and the rest, he gave us the opportunity to read the newspapers. On Saturdays, after our house chores, you would have debates with him. And that was the only time where you could free your mind. You could tell him.
He would debate you?
Yes, he would debate you.
You bring a subject
no,
or
so
just...
you read. You've read.
Oh, you've read
that,
something.
okay, there's something called Saglemi. It's a housing project, affordable housing project, started by one regime, another regime didn't continue, now it's rotting away, What do you think? And you start. And
wow.
So we spar. And that's the only point where you can actually, you know, sharpen and hone your debate skills and have that conversation. And then there was also the case in point where at least once a year we meet as a family, we have dinner or we have lunch, whatever it is, and anybody can, you know, let out the hot air in their hearts, and that was it. After that meeting, if you misbehaved, Obanue. You feel it. So
during those meetings,
you feel it.
It's free.
So on set, if I mount the microphones or I stand in front of the cameras to do Johnny's Bite, I'm addressing the issue. I'm not addressing the individuals. And I do it without fear or favor. After that, I can meet the person and we can still have a conversation.
Cool. Yeah.
2 days ago, I spoke about some state, you know, actor. You know, and I brought out the facts and I said, you didn't do this right, you did this right. The next day, that was yesterday, when somebody invited us for a surprise party. Here was the person, we shook hands, we had a conversation, and there was somebody standing by who was so angry. And the person was so cool. He said, but he didn't insult me. He only spoke about the issues. And I think that I see reason with some of the things that he said. I disagree with some of the things he said, but I see reason with some of the things that he said. I think that level of tolerance should be what should guide us as a country. There's a lot of intolerance in this country. I've had opportunity since I started Johnny's Bite about 2.5 years ago. You talk about things and then you have gigs somewhere. You go there and they tell you, oh, madam, say, your friend is saying, man, if I gig them out. You know, they've been called not to give you the gig. And I've lost so many of those MC duties. But I don't mind because I know from the depth of my heart that I'm looking at the ultimate good of Ghana. If it's good for all of us. If it's bad for all of us. I don't care about the threats that come with the job that you do, because where there is a tree that bears fruits, stones and sticks will be thrown at it. So I see myself as a fruit-bearing tree. Stones and sticks will be thrown at me. So really, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. You sort of preempted my whole spiel. I was going to.
KSM, we do this job together.
So, Waboso. But no, honestly, one of the things I had always wanted to talk to you about is Johnny's Bite.
Right.
You know, first of all, the title, whoever decided to call it Bite, that is so profound. It works so well. It's a bite, oh. I used to watch some promos for it.
Right.
And the guy said, do you know Papa?
Yeah.
Papa.
Yeah,
Papa.
Papa somewhere.
I'm glad you brought it up, you know. So now let's rewind a bit. Okay. Here you are, you know, we know you for everything and all. What prompted you to begin Johnny's Bite, which right now as we speak, I think is one of the most powerful presentations on TV.
Right.
You had the whole National Theatre change their culture, but we'll get there.
Not just National Theatre, there are too many places that.
But what started Johnny's Bite?
So, you know, most people may have now come to realize what I do. When I mentioned that I had stints with Plaza FM. At Plaza FM, there was what they called at the time on the morning show, Judgment Board. And people will bring their music, and then you would have to analyze the music in terms of rhythm and groove and style. But because I had played in a band, so I could tell if, you know, they got the syncopation right, they got this right, they got that right. And I would say it, and I said it in the Johnny's by Fashion, and people some liked it, some didn't like it. There was one instance where Shatawale sat next to me like that, and I gave him an advice on air. I told him, look, the people who follow you around, because you feed them and they take their sustenance from you, they would not be able to tell you to the face that sometimes you misbehave. But I told him, and he said, oh, well, he sat next to me. I told him, I said, sometimes you misbehave and you know it. He says, well, you are one of the people that I would like to have in my team. I said, well, but I can't manage myself well, so how can I come and manage you? I have too much on my hands. But that's just one aspect. But the whole concept of Johnnie's Bite. So when a production meeting, myself, Bella, Francis, that was like the morning show team we had finished. We're revamping New Day. I think it was in 2021 towards October 1. That's where TV3's birthday. And they said, well, it appears that every time we start the intro, I have something much more to say than the other presenters. So why don't they create a segment for me, for me to put out there? Okay, so let's talk about the name, Johnny's Steak, okay, Johnny's Word, Johnny's this, Johnny's that, and then Johnny's Bite came, boom. And it's okay, let's go with Johnny's Bite. So then we came with Johnny's Bite, but that was all. In the room, then it was the name, Johnny's Bite. So now I had to go back and conceptualize it and put the thing to, okay, do I play the video first? Do I call Danny? Danny play the video. Danny show me the audio. Danny show me the letter. You know, all of that I had to go back because, of course, you have gone to school. You had learned production. You had practiced for some time. So that experience was there. You produce Community Connect. You produce Election Zone. Why can't you produce Johnny's Bite? And for me, that was the starting point of Johnny's Bite. Now, when we started Johnny's Bite, I decided that I was going to pick the big national agenda because Community Connect had been a community rights advocacy program. You go into the communities already. So this should be a national agenda that would change,
go beyond the community
the face
level
of things.
Yeah.
And then in one of the instances, for example, my own GIJ, Ghana Institute of Journalism, where I attended, I realized that GIJ had metamorphosed into UNIMAC because GIJ, NAFTI, and Ghana Institute of Languages, they had metamorphosed into one university, but they didn't have the charter. And this was around the time when Napo was the minister. And so for about 2 years, the school was just there. There was nothing happening. And students had finished their programs, but they couldn't graduate because without the charter, you can't congregate, you can't do that. I said, but what's happening? So I picked the act. I went into it. Hit about 3-4 days. The next day, I woke up. They said, oh, we have a charter. I said, yes, you need a charter. Then the next set of students graduated. I mean, that sets you apart from other journalists who would pick the issue and not look at, existing laws and what policy there is, the other legs, so they can have a holistic conversation that will actually cause change. Valco, for example, has a new union building, Ketsi Johnny's Bite. You can talk about. As for chairs, tables for children in schools, as for gutter, streets, lights, plenty. The National Theatre, there's still work left to be done, but they have done well small. Yes, they have done well small. So that for me is the bigger vision of Johnny's Bite. And then there's one that always gladdens my heart. Let the retirees go and let the young grow. I don't have a problem with people, old people, being board chairman and board, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with people who have gone past the age of 60, who are still in the day-to-day running of public sector businesses and organizations. I have a problem with that. Because you see, you got in earlier for you to have sharpened and honed yourself, gained experience and expertise over maybe a 20, 25, 30-year period. It's now time for you to have mentored somebody and then to leave the stage nicely and decently so that others can also come in and then also build up. And that's how to build a nation. But if you come in and you choke the top, how do the young people come in? And every day you tune into radio, every day you just, right now when we're in there, waiting for the program to commence, somebody had called and says, hey, there's a problem at our workplace, blah, blah, blah. Somebody is due for retirement. I say, so I want us to sanitize the top. Go and become board chairman. Advice. Because there are 3 layers of experience. KSM, there's work experience, there is managerial experience, and then there's directorial experience. if you get a lot of work experience, you metamorphose or graduate into managerial experience. After that, you can get into directorial experience. In this country, we have a habit, a very bad habit of, because somebody is affiliated to party A or B, whether they have the experience or not, we put them on a board. And then you see that the company keeps dwindling. KSM, I doubt that this, your organization, I mean, if you look at the board members, the other people who have played in the hospitality industry or something related, maybe the finance industry, insurance, something related, so they can bring their knowledge and expertise to bear, say KSM way and Yenisa way and Yenisa. And your board chairman must know his stuff.
Yeah.
If you go and pick Johnnie Hughes, who has done very little in the hospitality sector, and say he's the board chair for Cactus Creek, by the time you come tomorrow, I'll be in the kitchen eating all the rice because I won't understand the job.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. That culture must stop, because we have a lot of very well experienced people in this country. We don't lack the resources. KSM, imagine if you were board chairman, maybe for National Theatre or Center for National Culture. You have done it, you have seen it, you have been there. So in terms of your experience and expertise, it will not be in question. But if I put you as the MD or executive director there, no, you can't go to work every single day, the pressure email. Some of them go to the office and go and sleep. And I'm not happy that people talk to them anyhow. So I want the retirees to go so that the young can grow. They can also learn so that Ghana becomes a sweet place.
Wow.
I mean, if you look at the history of Ghana, for example, how old was President Nkrumah when he became president? How old was Kofi Abrefa-Buzia? How old was Lehman? How old was Rawlings? I mean, just look at it. So it tells you that there's a certain energy of the young people that must be utilized, and it must be complemented with the wisdom of the old. The energy of the young people and the wisdom of the old. And the country will move forward, not the other way around.
Wow. Show some love, man. Show some love. We're going to take a commercial break.
Yes, sir.
But when we come back, the first thing I'm going to ask him is, I'm almost 68 too, and I haven't even thought of retiring. So when I come back, I'll ask you, what do you think of me? Stick around, folks. When we come back, he'll answer that question. KSM, stick around. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe it's our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek. A most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
Hi, my name is Angela Metal, a massage therapist at Cactus Creek. My job is simply to pamper you with the 3 R's, to relax you, to revitalize you, and to rejuvenate you. Come and let me pamper you.
055 039 5007.
Most of you are loving my jacket. Mr. Sao, I am if rough. The jacket is provided by KSM Essentials. So if you want some, this is the number to call.
0247 661983.
So call KSM and get yourself a pretty decent jacket.
The KSM Show.
My name is Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. I have almost been following the program of KSM for the past 20 years. It's a program I've always been watching carefully. In fact, before he came on Pan-African, he used to be on another station, I can't remember now, where the program had been so interesting. And I will call on all Ghanaians who are very much interested in objectivity and also the history of this country to always watch this program. It's a program that is educative and very, very, very interesting. Thank you.
We're back, folks. We're back, and I'm hanging out with my main man, Johnnie Hughes of Johnnie's Bite. And just before the commercial break, he bit me on. I said, we should make room for that. Not exactly. But, Johnnie, I was teasing you that what do you think about people like me who are still in and kicking in?
So you're running your private business, but you're
Yes.
giving employment to younger people. I'm not talking about, because if you live in a country where the older generation tell the younger generation that the payroll is choked and that they can't get in, and that they see older people getting appointments and contract extensions, contrary to what the president has said, that look, if you go past the age of 60, because of the situation we find ourselves, we won't give you contract extensions, and then you have those extensions happening. It's disheartening. Fire service boss is beyond retirement. National service boss is beyond retirement.
Yeah.
Immigration service boss is beyond retirement. When you go to GRA, there are plenty there.
Yeah.
You go to Ghana Standards Authority, they are there. I mean, how? You go to GEHOC, they are there. GEHOC, for example, in the case of GEHOC had been taken to court by SNIT. GEHOC had been written to by Metropolitan Insurance. They deducted workers, their tier 2 and stuff like that. They didn't pay. And, they were warning them, NIB, bank. I mean, you ask yourself, what's happening? But then we know that we have the resources, we have the people in the country to be able to do the work. We have the men, indeed. And if we have the men, we should be able to position. You can't put a carpenter in place of a mason and expect that the carpenter will do the work of the mason just as much as that person would have done the work. We need to give people the opportunity to do the work they are skilled in doing, and then we will all be fine. If you have a chartered accountant as your health minister, why wouldn't there be Sputnik V Chobo? Because the accountant is looking at the figures.
Yeah.
He's not looking at the comorbidity and
Yes.
herd immunity, and he's not looking at that. If you have a doctor as your health minister, then you're aware. And I always ask the question, when you want a finance minister, you pick a finance person or accounts person. If you want an attorney general, you pick a legal person.
Yeah.
But all other positions, then we pick people from different fields and we say, oh, just go and be there. How? What have they done for themselves privately?
Yeah.
And which is why, if the private sector rejected them, why do you think they are fit for public sector? Some people serve in the public sector because their government is in power, not because they are particularly qualified, not because they are bringing anything special to the table. And when their political parties leave, they go along with them and their lives become miserable. There are former DCEs and whatever who still go around and they are actually begging for alms, literally, to survive. But if you have a profession, if you have a certain expertise and skill, you won't have to beg anybody for bread. Because if they ask you tomorrow, KSM, that, okay, we have acquired Cactus Creek, go away, you know what else to do because you have a certain skill. And that's why I want people to to fix their minds. I mean, it's so painful that the young people, unfortunately, are beginning to learn and to fit into that. And people now have seen politics as the avenue to make all sorts of unexplained wealth, and it's normalized. It's okay. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable. I don't.
Johnnie, every day before you get on air on Johnny's Bite, what's the process? Does something happen that immediately triggers you and say, no, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, so you spend all night researching it? Or these are things that you have thought of some time back and you're bent on addressing them one of these days? What triggers it?
As I said, I like to keep the production continuous. So there are things I talk about. Sometimes my employers think that, okay, how did you get to know about this? Because this happened a long time ago, maybe in 1989 when you were still a small boy. And I said, well, there's institutional memory. Because my father, aside just asking us to read the newspapers, also kept the newspapers. And so let's say for 3 weeks we're reading newspapers, new newspapers, fresh newspapers to keep update. And in the last week, we go back to newspapers that are older than us. So there's institutional memory. So if you ask me about something that happened, how the Kanishi Malam Highway was constructed, I can tell you it was constructed by construction pioneer CP. At some point in time, a woman came to fall into a big ditch. They brought an excavator to scoop it out. It was big news on GTV. It was captured on the front page of the Daily Graphic. I can tell you the name of the engineer. I can tell you how long it took for the woman to be taken to Kanishi Polyclinic, later to Kolib. So that institutional memory is there. And so if something else happened at Kanishi, I already have that built up knowledge. And then I add this new knowledge. I do the analysis. I know who is here, who's there, who's not there, who's there. And then you add it and you put it together. Again, there's the community connect bit where I like to go and see for myself, have the evidence, hold the document, hold the film, hold the tape before I can actually come and speak about it. I don't do hearsay. So it would interest you to know that in all of my career, for almost 20 years, there's been only one suit against me. One. And even that, it's still pending. We're still in court. But it's only one suit in all of my career. Never happened. There are journalists who go to court almost every day in their lives. They are always going to court. Because the point is that if you dot the I's and cross the T's, it's there. So the production is a continuous process. But you're also talking about very important things that affect people. For example, when I decided to break the Kolibu renal department thing on the kidney dialysis, the illegal fees that were charged by Kolibu, I had to go and find out how the system works. So I had to get people to actually pay, right? You had to get people to go and pay, to go through the process, to get the receipt as evidence. That's why when the CEO...
Which you showed,
yes, that's why when the CEO of Kolibu said, oh, nobody had been charged, I said, oh, this is one receipt. He said, only 5 people. I said, this is 6 receipts. These are 6 receipts. So only 6 people. I said, oh, these are 8 receipts.
Show some love, man.
So I will keep going until you stop. And then they stop. They stop doing the back and forth because I would embarrass you.
They knew you were armed.
I will embarrass
you. Have the evidence.
Yes, and I'll bring you emails and I'll bring you, I'll bring you memos, not emails, memos from your own desk. I'll bring you stuff from your own establishment that, well, I'm closer to you than you think. And these are your signatures, are they not? These are things you have written, are they not? And then you'll be stuck. That's how to do the journalism. It's not matra makwe. It's hard work.
But you also accept that you are unusual. Because this kind of journalism, you're right, that is how journalism should be done. But there are so many who are, once you put the mic in front of them, a spirit takes possession, and they go with what the spirit tells them, and not what they have researched.
No, so KSM, for me, I can make up my point, I can speak for 30 minutes, 40 minutes on a subject matter without insulting anybody. Because I've been taught by my parents, and KKD will later reinforce that and say that we can disagree without being disagreeable. So I can disagree with you on something that you have said, something that you're doing, but I don't have to disrespect you because I know that beyond everything, that's my uncle. Beyond everything, that's my father. Beyond everything, that's my senior in the craft. So I cannot disrespect you. However, you and I can have a banter and have a debate on the issues. So that's what my parents taught me. And later KKD came to enforce it.
Enforce it.
I can be behind it. And every time, because others do it, when people come on social media, they say, oh, young Crawford, so then I ask them, point me to that single insult.
Yes.
And I will apologize for it. I retract and apologize. And they can't do that.
Yeah. So, coming from that point, when you see that, I don't know what happened to the culture of Ghana. It's almost like insults have become a new thing. Social media, whatever, the insults. It is so. Sometimes I'm alarmed.
Right.
Are people insulting because they don't know what to say, or they don't have the words to describe what they want to say? How do you feel about the role that insult is now playing in the media?
Okay, so KSM, I take it from, and I know that my Kuma Wood friends will not be happy with me, but you know that for some period of our lives, you buy a Kuma Wood movie, and forgive me, my fruity language, there's a boa kwasia, if you like, go back to, there was a period in Akuma Wood movies where the entertainment was a boa kwasia, the way Jimmy, it was in there. Now, go back even before that, there was something in the schools called music and dance. And then we also had cultural studies. And then we had social studies. So we had social studies, and then we had cultural studies. Cultural studies taught us about our culture, about our language, about respect, about our value systems and all of that. Somebody just woke up one day and decided to take cultural studies off. Somebody woke up one day and decided to take music and dance off. So there was a certain generation who were lost in terms of what the cultural value is. I get reprimanded by my uncles and my father's friends, people I grew up knowing that are my father's peers and all of that, even at this age. There are people younger than me, when you try to correct them, they take offense.
Yeah.
And they ask you, what's up? Why you the one can correct me? You they buy my kinky.
Yeah.
Those people don't buy my kinky. But then those people, I revere them as father figures because society had made it so. I think, honestly, that culture is what had been transported or transposed onto the media landscape. Exactly where people attend funerals, there's an MC there, has a great voice, there's a media owner there, says, voice here, there, and then that's it.
And that's the only qualification that they have.
The career started.
Yeah.
When you can you say, but career started. So the continuous training and media ownership, and then remuneration and all. Because if you're not paid with KSM, and I come and I influence you with 2,000 cedis and I ask you to deal with your cameraman for me and deal with him very well for me, you will try and impress me. So you will do your best to earn your keep, so that the next time I'll bring 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000. I'm not saying that's what happens in most of the cases. But then also, because for a very long time, a certain generation have been fed and have imbibed that culture of insult in their minds. That generation are those who are now 19, 20, 21, up to 25.
That's all they know.
That's all they know. So if your content doesn't actually have that, then they will not consume your content. So now it was a difficult task for some of us when we started Johnny's Bite to try and stay on track, to try and say that we will not insult, we will bring the facts. If you insult us, we will insult you back. We will keep it at the center. And now a lot more people are aligning to come to the center to say, let's talk about the issues. If the pipe is broken, it's broken because A, B, C, D. If the pipe is not fixed, we won't have water for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. That means that there will be cholera, there will be diarrhea, there will be dysentery, there will be dysentery, there will be this, that. And then we all come to the center and fix it. That's, for me, is the bigger conversation. But I also finally put the blame squarely at the doorstep of the Ghana Education Service. You know, the GES has a policy that your L1, your mother tongue, should be the language that you be used to instruct you at the very formative years. I have Ghana ancestry and a bit of Fanti ancestry. And my matrilineal grandmother comes from Konkono, just down the lane. So I come from parts of here as well. And you go to Greater Accra schools, and Asante Tree and Ikrapim Tree is being taught. This is not being tribalistic. This is being realistic. When you take a man's language and a man's culture from them, you have taken everything away from them. So if the people cannot find a way to express themselves and to appreciate the values in their language, they will resort to insults because now they have nothing. So whatever they find, they pick. Whatever is thrown at them, they accept. And I honestly want that to change, because I doubt we can drive from Ebri all the way to the ends of the eastern region and find in any classroom that there's a Gan teacher teaching people Gan, seriously, for them to go and have their BEC based on that. So we need to have that cultural policy, that document that we have as a country. We need to go back to it, because therein in the cultural policy, it's not cool to insult a big man. Therein in that cultural policy, it's not cool to have the platform, all right, as it were, the airwaves, to start just talking tosh. It's not cool. Therein in that cultural policy, it's a national agenda to develop. Therein in that cultural policy is a national agenda to bring the next generation along and to make them better than their forebears. So how is it that all of that is not happening? We have a Minister of Culture, we have a Commission on Culture, and everybody is sitting aloof and watching, and they are drawing their salaries every month. And I get worried about it. I get worried about it.
Is it because the whole thing called culture over the years is losing its relevance? Like, who cares about the culture? I want to do this. Now it's all about, let me work and earn some income. Let me do this, you know. So what if I have to do something that is not considered cultural? Should that stop me from surviving?
Well, KSM, I think that culture in itself is dynamic. Culture is supposed to inspire development. And the culture of the people of the Eastern region, for example, the Krapim people, because that's where my matrilineally, a bit of me comes from there. They're hardworking people. They are farmers, they are industrious, they are studios. You talk about education and you can talk about, you know, it coming from this side of town. And for a very long time, it became part of them. So you can say that it's also part of their culture. How is that bad? How is that different from, and you see, we have for so long been conditioned that everything Obroni is better than what we have. For a very, very long time, we have been conditioned to think that everything Obroni is better than what we have. So that Obroni can do salad, we will enjoy it. But when your mother does kontomire stew, you think it's wrong.
And we have come to a very, very interesting point.
Get it.
Except that, folks, our time is up for now, but I'm keeping him here. So don't go anywhere. We'll come back at you with the part 2 of this conversation, because there's so much I want to ask. I think that's the questions I want to ask about Johnnie's Baito. Afen and Moba, you know, plus many, many other things that I want to talk to him about. So my young son,
Yes, sir.
with your kind permission,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
detain you for some time.
Yes, sir.
But for those of you watching, let us end now, but catch us in the next episode, just a day away, and we'll be back with the continuation. But in the meantime, KSM signing off as I always do. Johnnie, remember how I sign off?
Yeah.
Please do so for me.
In the meantime, in between time, I am out of here.
The KSM Show.